Silence them! Hi, my name is Quinn Duffy. I'm the game director on Company of Heroes 2, the Western Front Armies here at Relic Entertainment. We're going to give you a brief intro to the game, talk about how it differs from other strategy games you might have played, and show you how the new Oberkommando West Army is unique. The Oberkommando are designed to reflect the German army of late 1944. Resurgent, on the offensive, built around battle-hardened infantry and massively powerful tanks. At the same time, they were facing the challenge of economic collapse. In the US Forces video, I talk a bit about a couple of key differences between the Company of Heroes franchise and other strategy games. Tactical maneuvering, cover, and range-based combat are very important, but there are a couple of other parts of that tactical gameplay we'll cover here, namely flanking and facing. Flanking is a near necessity, and you especially want to try to get around behind armored vehicles where their armor is thinner. You can also flank cover. Because cover is directional, getting side shots or getting behind the enemy negates any protection they were getting and allows you to kill their infantry more effectively. Facing is another important element in Company of Heroes 2. A machine gun or anti-tank gun is effective, but only if it's facing the right way. These kinds of units can be very powerful, but you need to consider their placement. We also draw on history for a lot of our gameplay, so you'll find that rifles can really do nothing to a heavily armored vehicle. A rifle is a terrible counter to a tank, but an anti-tank rocket launcher is pretty decent. We call this the counter system, so you need to know what your enemy is doing and have the resources to build the counters to their unit choices. Speaking of resources, let's also take a second to talk about the economy of Company of Heroes 2 compared to other strategy games. There are no workers in the game, no mines to mine or trees to harvest. You earn resources by capturing territories on the map. You can check the mini-map or the points on the battlefield to see what resources are granted. Resources fulfill different roles and follow a general theme or context. Manpower is required for all units. You're going to need fuel to really tech up to the bigger units, which makes sense because tanks burn a lot of fuel. Munitions are generally what you spend for weapons or abilities like throwing grenades. In some game modes, like Victory Point, you have to hold a majority of the VPs on the map, so don't lose sight of that goal. You can win a lot of battles, but still lose the war. Now, overall, the Oberkommando West don't get as many resources as the other armies because of Germany's worsening economic situation in 1944, but they capture territory exactly the same way. If you don't have much of the map captured in the first couple of minutes, you're going to start falling behind, so territorial expansion is critical. Use your infantry to capture territories on the map to increase your income and deny the enemy his or her income. Pushing your front lines out gets you into combat with your enemy, and this is where you need to take stock of your situation. In the US Forces video, we cover some of the questions you need to ask yourself from a tactical standpoint, but another thing to pay attention to is what the enemy is building. You'll often get audio cues for what your enemy is doing. If you start hearing or seeing vehicles all of a sudden, consider making that transition to anti-tank weaponry. The Oberkommando have lots of options. You can equip your infantry with Panzerschrecks. You have small team weapons like the Raketenwerfer, which can fire from inside buildings. And you can go all the way up to heavy vehicles like the Jagdpanzer IV. On the other hand, if you see lots of infantry, it might indicate your enemy isn't ready for a vehicle, so you can dictate the strategic arc of the game by teching up. Catch his infantry with artillery, or vehicles like the 251 Flak half-tracks or Panzer II Luke's light tanks. Their 20mm cannons can chew through enemy troops. Either way, you have to see what kinds of options you can afford, and that leads us back to resources. So what do you spend your resources on? Just like the other armies, to get bigger and more powerful weapons and units, you need to build buildings. The Oberkommando differ in that they have a very flexible building system. Their SWS half-tracks can be converted into structures that can produce units. You'll get one of these half-tracks at the beginning of the game, and once you've converted it into a structure, or one is destroyed, you'll get a new one automatically. Each of the three structures does something cool apart from building units. One allows you to transfer resources and repair vehicles. One can reinforce and heal infantry. And one is heavily armed with a 3.7cm flak cannon. As a player, you can put these buildings into any territory you own, so experiment with strategies around placing your structures on the map. Where do you want to repair your tanks? What about retreating your troops? And where do you want some extra firepower? You can create some nice defensive zones, and in team games you can use your buildings to support your friends as well. Now here's a great way to interact with your structures. You see the tabs across the top of the HUD? Every army has them, and they all link to their tech buildings and allow you to build units and set rally points for your troops without having to leave the front lines. Definitely try to use the tabs. Overall, the Oberkommando are a very potent force, but you need to be aggressive to get the really big guns out and start tearing into your enemy. Experiment with using your base buildings effectively and learn the maps. Your lighter vehicles can help keep back enemy infantry while you keep your troops alive so they can earn their 5 levels of veterancy and become really scary. And when you get one of the big tanks out, don't waste it. If you leave it alone out there, it's going to get hit with everything the other armies have. Company of Heroes 2 is like all strategy games in that you get equal parts challenge and reward. There's a lot to learn, but an incredible amount of content to play with and to master. One of the best resources you have is our community. They're engaged and knowledgeable, so please visit our forums or community sites and watch games on Twitch TV or YouTube to really pick up the nuances of the game. We'll see you on the battlefield. Hi, my name is Quinn Duffy. I'm the game director of Company of Heroes 2, the Western Front Armies, here at Relic Entertainment, and we're going to give you a brief introduction to the game, how it differs from other strategy games, and how the new U.S. Forces Army plays. I'd say there are a few key gameplay features new players to Company of Heroes 2 should be aware of, even if they have experience within the strategy genre. Tactical play is one key difference, and the other is how you build your army through the economy. What do I mean by tactical play? It's about using cover, maneuvering, and facing your troops, and dealing with range combat. We'll cover a couple of points in this video, and the others when we talk about the new Oberkommando West Army. These tactical features hold true for every army, not just the new ones. First off, you should try to use cover to help keep your troops alive. Pretty much anything in the world will give you cover, so get cover between your troops and your enemy. The combat system is also built around lethality at range. For example, rifles do effective damage at long range, whereas submachine guns, as you'd expect, are more effective up close, but really inaccurate against long-range targets. Even the big guns on tanks are less effective at long range. In our game, you want to assert control by capturing resource and victory points. You want the map to be mostly blue, meaning you're getting more munitions and fuel than your opponents. Along with munitions and fuel, manpower is the third resource, and everybody starts with the same value. As your army gets larger, the manpower rate goes down. If you lose a large part of your army, the rate goes back up to help you rebuild. In COH2, it's not over till it's over, so keep fighting because games can turn around in spectacular ways. Let's talk a bit about one of our new armies. The US Forces play style is all about mobility and versatility. They are adaptable and can meet a variety of threats by getting their flexible firepower quickly to key areas of the battlefield. US Forces are unique in their starting setup. All the buildings you need in your base already exist, but they're locked. You can click around and see where different units are built, but know that generally more powerful units take more resources and arrive later in the game. Around the perimeter, you see bunkers for defense and something called weapon racks. These are where your infantry can pick up weapon upgrades like light machine guns or bazookas. Just select an infantry unit, click on the weapon racks, it'll deduct the munitions, and voila, versatile firepower. Your barracks can build rear echelon troops and riflemen, as well as an ambulance. Start with infantry because you want those guys out there capturing the map as quickly as you can. 1 squad is handy, but 2 squads can capture 2 points at once, and 3 squads can quickly capture most of the map. But don't let them get too spread out. Don't go all in on infantry. At some point your enemy will build vehicles, and you need a bit of diversity and versatility in your army to be ready. You get that by teching up, or building more powerful units. Other armies accomplish this by building new base buildings, but the US unlocks their tech through their officers. Each of the other 3 buildings is unlocked by officers of successively higher ranks, lieutenants, captains, and majors, and they give you access to different unit types. Remember, you don't need to spend resources on all 3 buildings. Either the platoon command or company command will give you access to the battalion command where the big tanks are. Don't spend resources unnecessarily on stuff that you don't need. More potent units can bring more firepower to bear against your opponents, and when you hit the front lines, the real fun starts. When you see that first bit of combat, you need to take a quick look at what's going on and make a few key decisions. Am I outnumbered? Are my guys in cover? What weapons am I facing? Do I have troops nearby that I can use to flank or get behind my enemy? Is it time to fall back or fight it out? You rarely lose the game if you need to retreat your troops, but you can really set yourself back if you lose too many too early. Keeping your units alive means that you can reinforce, and squads that stay alive longer become veterans and are much tougher. In a typical battle, you're going to look for that tactical advantage over your opponent, but you have to keep an eye or ear out for what the enemy is doing. Watch the minimap and listen to audio cues from your troops or from the game. Keep scouting because your troops will let you know what they run into. So what happens if you run into a tank? We'll cover that a bit more in the Oberkommando West video. In any case, a potent army tends to be built of several roles. An artillery unit, an anti-tank unit, and an anti-infantry unit will give you versatility to cover almost all tactical encounters. US riflemen are pretty adaptable in that they can be equipped with grenades, bazookas, and light machine guns to essentially cover those roles all by themselves. The US forces have a lot of decent jack-of-all-trades units. The M15A1 AA half-track is good versus infantry, but can also tackle other light vehicles. And the M4A3 Sherman is decent versus infantry, and can fire armor-piercing rounds at tanks. That's really part of the versatility and mobility built into the US forces. Strategy games like Company of Heroes 2 are incredibly rewarding and really offer years of play. If you're new to the genre, I'll suggest some pointers. I'd say first off, keep busy. Multitasking is important. Know what your units are generally capable of doing, learn the counter system, and experiment with building an effective force. Start against the AI and work your way up, and focus on the little victories at first. And finally, talk to our community. Visit forums, Twitch TV, or YouTube to watch the game, learn from others, and experience how the depth unfolds. We'll see you on the battlefield.
Your pioneers are experts at building structures and defenses. Soviet forces are supported by their combat engineers. In addition, some infantry squads can also build defenses and other structures. Pioneers and combat engineers can repair buildings, vehicles, and bridges. Build menus can be found on the command panel of the unit. There are two types: production buildings and field defenses. Production buildings will be able to order in the soldiers and vehicles that comprise your army. Field defenses prevent the enemy from moving freely around the battlefield. Order your pioneers to build a structure from the list. Not all areas of the map will support the construction of a building. While the building is selected, if you want to cancel the order, simply right-click anywhere and it will cancel the selection. To confirm the order, simply left-click on a valid territory, and the squad will move to begin construction. Certain structures, like bunkers, must be faced to cover key objectives. These buildings will show you their direction of facing. Face it in the direction you want with the mouse and left-click again to confirm. You can cancel a structure under construction at any time by selecting the Cancel Construction button in the command panel. When a building is completed, it will also activate a selection tab above the command card. You can select buildings from this location from anywhere and order units, set rally points, or see what is currently in the queue waiting to be deployed. When you require additional military forces, select from the appropriate base structure and select the forces you wish to deploy. When they arrive on the battlefield, units will move to the building they were deployed from unless a rally point is set. Rally points can be set for units by selecting the rally point option from the building, or by selecting the building and right-clicking on the map. Each building can have a unique rally location. Units will arrive as close and as quickly as they can to the set ready point. You can cancel a unit deployment by left-clicking on the portrait of the unit in the production queue. There are 3 resources on the battlefield in Company of Heroes 2: manpower, munitions, and fuel. Bigger armies take more manpower to field. Smaller armies take less manpower. As your army gets larger, your manpower rate slows due to upkeep. If you lose large numbers of forces, your manpower rate increases. In order to increase the amount of munitions and fuel you earn, you must seize the initiative and capture strategic points on the battlefield. Moving infantry squads within the white capture zone of the territory will start the capture. You cannot capture a territory with enemy squads nearby. You must remain vigilant and ensure the territory is connected to your base. If the territory is not connected, then the territory will flash on the minimap. By constructing fuel and munitions caches on your territory points, you can increase your resource rates even further and force the enemy to destroy the cache before they can capture the territory. Use your pioneers to build caches and watch for Soviet combat engineers attempting the same thing. Your forces and your enemy can perform a large number of actions on the battlefield, from throwing grenades to dropping barrages of artillery on concentrations of enemy forces. Many of these abilities necessitate certain prerequisites, such as a munitions cost to activate, or that a specific building be constructed. The ability itself will make clear its requirements. There are also a variety of ability types. Some abilities require you to set a target, while others are timed. Toggled abilities give you the option of ordering the unit into one of 2 states. Abilities like this grenade attack are triggered by activating the ability and targeting a unit or an area. All timed abilities have an active duration, and when the duration of the ability runs out, the ability is deactivated and begins a recharge. Toggle abilities are triggered by activating and deactivating the ability. Team weapons are capable of inflicting very high levels of damage on infantry and armored vehicles. Weapons like heavy machine guns, mortars and anti-tank guns need a crew to operate and can only attack enemy units that are within their arc of fire. If your team weapon is under fire and at risk of being destroyed, you could retreat, but note that anti-tank guns are so large that they cannot retreat at all. When a team weapon crew withdraws or is killed, the weapon is dropped on the field. The weapon can then be recrewed by an infantry squad by right-clicking on the weapon. The Soviets can maintain their weapon teams at full fighting strength by merging conscripts with a team weapon squad, as losses are taken. This makes them durable fighting units. Heavy machine guns and aircraft strafing runs can suppress and pin troops, preventing them from advancing. These weapons include the German MG-42 and the Soviet Maxim heavy machine guns. When suppressed, the squad will go to a prone position to minimize their profile. They will be protected, reasonably but not for long. If your squads are no longer under fire, the suppressed troops will eventually come out of suppression and be ready for full combat. Also, it is very important to note that suppressed squads make it far easier for other squads nearby to be suppressed. Machine guns can cover large areas, so keep your squads reasonably spread out. A single machine gun can suppress many infantry squads. If you allow your suppressed squads to stay suppressed for too long, they will become pinned. Pinned squads will not be able to move, fire, or capture points. But unless you can respond quickly, either by killing the enemy machine gun with another squad, or blocking their line of sight with smoke to break contact, the best course of action is to fall back or retreat. Retreating is not an admission of failure. It is a way to keep your highly trained and veteran troops alive. Retreating squads will take the shortest path back to headquarters, and because they are moving quickly, they are far harder to hit. Squads reduced in strength can be quickly reinforced at the headquarters and sent back into battle. A smart commander knows two key factors about the battlefield. They must know the effect of range and movement on combat, and they must know how to utilize strong mixes of units to create effective tactical forces. Weapons are less accurate at long ranges, but long-range weapons like rifles still have an advantage over short-range weapons like submachine guns. Closing the combat range will increase the rate of fire and accuracy of infantry weapons, making close-ranged combat more lethal. Submachine guns excel at close-range combat. However, you have to be careful when closing ground on the enemy. Combined Arms is about finding versatile sets of weapons that work well in attack or defense against a variety of threats. Combined Arms tactics are usually built around 2 to 3 different types of anti-infantry or anti-tank weapons. Mixing a heavy machine gun and a mortar is an effective tactic. The machine gun can suppress the infantry, and the mortars, which typically have a difficult time hitting moving units, can easily target the suppressed infantry. Now add an anti-tank gun to the mix for a very powerful force. The machine gun can protect the mortar and the anti-tank gun from infantry, while the anti-tank gun can engage armored vehicles. The Soviets are learning from us. Their powerful mortars and heavy armor give them a strong base for potent combined arms forces. For your infantry, cover can often mean the difference between. Our soldiers faced temperatures below -40 on their drive to Moscow, and few human beings can operate effectively in those temperatures. Unless you prepare for the arrival of General Winter, your soldiers will suffer for your failures and die of exposure. In the open, your troops will suffer from the effects of cold. They will slow down and eventually die. Watch your troops for their current state. A blue thermometer indicates freezing. A red indicates warming. You can protect your troops more fully by garrisoning buildings, moving your troops in half-track personnel carriers, or by building fires with your pioneers. The Soviets will likely attempt the same. Even the Russians don't enjoy -40, regardless of what they say. But it gets better, or worse perhaps. Blizzards and strong winds can increase your exposure, causing your troops to freeze faster. Certain abilities like airstrikes will be unavailable in blizzards, so you might take advantage of the bad weather to seize ground. Just be sure when you are attacking that you pay attention to ice you encounter. Ice can be damaged by the passage of your tanks and vehicles and destroyed by heavy weapons, such as mortars, anti-tank guns and artillery, sending unlucky units to a hypothermic death. Watch for deep snow around the battlefield. Cross it if you must, but be aware that it will slow your troops. Even vehicles will find their movement somewhat slowed by deep snow, although not to the extent of infantry. Finally, both infantry and vehicles will leave tracks in deep snow that will be visible to other combatants.
That is no excuse for deserting your post.
You ordered them killed!
The Red Army knows how to take care of its friends.
I've ordered many deaths. Which specifically are you referring to?
Lev Abramovich Isakovich have been found guilty of crimes against the state. The punishment is death.
Lev Abramovich Isakovich.
Блядь, сукин сын!
I come all the way from Moscow to this remote piss hole, and this is how you greet your old commanding officer?
What do you want from me, Colonel?
I wanted to show you something. Recognize this? What you wrote on these pages could condemn a man several times over. But before that happens, comrade, first I need to know the truth.
Keep moving, men! Move! I have no weapons! So find one! Go forward! For the motherland!
The time has come to push the fascists out of Stalingrad, comrades! Lieutenant Isakovich, you will lead the assault. Charge from the docks to the square. Once it's clear, we can bring in support to help crush the German armor that is sure to be waiting. The fascists are well dug in, but their persistence is no match for...
Heavy machine gun north of the breach! They have the main route covered!
To the last bullet!
Avoid his kill zone! Flank the location and clear with grenades.
They can break our bodies.
More shock troops are available for deployment, comrade!
Shock troops have arrived.
This HMG is tearing us apart!
Keep advancing, comrades! He cannot stop you all!
Shock troops can now be used to crush the enemy.
Comrade, those fucking howitzers are going to annihilate our troops! Move up, locate, and destroy them quickly!
MG-42 up ahead! We should look for another flanking route!
A squad of infantry has been killed. Death before retreat. More of our troops have been lost. Shock troops have arrived. Shock troops awaiting deployment. Shock troops have arrived. Shock troops can now be used to crush the enemy. Destroy the other!
We have been promoted!
We need help. We have civilians left. The Germans are all around us.
Artillery guns are down! Comrade, get out of the line of sight! Your shock troops cannot damage that tank!
Comrade, that Panzer is going to be an annoyance as we advance. The conscripts will keep it occupied. You need to find something to take it out with.
A German anti-tank gun has been spotted in the ruins! Comrade, requisition it for our own use!
Someone hurry! We can't hold them up for much longer!
What is it? We move! They are hitting us from the air! Over there!
Contact with the encircled building commander.
Another HMG! We need to blind it before we can attempt a flank. Use a smoke grenade! warriors! On that weapon! Take possession! Ready! On our way! Commander, take the anti-tank gun through the ruins and destroy the tank! Shock troops have arrived. Shock troops can now be used to crush the enemy. Take out that Panzer IV!
Damn it. Oh, shit. Sure, it was me. Deflection. Fire again. Shit. Reload. Hurry.
Panzer IV is down. You should have a clear attack on the rail station.
Retreat! Fall back!
By orders of Comrade Stalin, all who retreat are traitors to the motherland! Turn back and fight, damn you! Fire! They were warned! Now, attack!
Deal with those machine guns, Commander!
A frontal assault is suicide.
You will attack the German line, or you will die by my pistol! Now move! Wehrmacht troops awaiting deployment.
German tanks are entering the square!
Commander, utilize the anti-tank gun and destroy that German armor! Remember, attempt to flank them if you can! Onward, comrades! Drive them from your city! What do you want? Troops have been lost.
That's it! The Germans are starting to break!
Hold up, man.
Ich kapituliere!
Careful.
Bitte, bitte! Gnade zeigen! Bitte!
This young lady is Anya Zelinsky.
Yes. Stalingrad. I remember. Those Germans tried to surrender and...
We won a glorious victory that day.
Glorious?
Tell me, comrade. When did you begin to lose faith in the cause? When we first met, you were a true believer.
In my men. I always believed in them.
Comrade Lieutenant Isakovich, while our men continue to load the train, your unit will...
Yes. Stalingrad. I remember. Those Germans tried to surrender and...
We won a glorious victory that day.
Glorious?
Tell me, comrade. When did you begin to lose faith in the cause? When we first met, you were a true believer.
In my men. I always believed in them.
Churkin of the NKVD. Major Borodin has been relieved for incompetence, and I have assumed command. Comrades, the fascists are almost upon us. Our front line is contracting again. We no longer have the resources to hold the Germans here.
But sir, we have to slow them down. We can buy time for the civilians to escape.
Lieutenant?
Isakovich, Lev Abramovich, Comrade Colonel.
Yes, Lieutenant, we must buy time. Not only for the civilians here, but for Moscow.
We must also prevent the German bastards from capturing our supplies. Anything we can't load onto that train must be destroyed.
Germans are almost here. We need to leave.
German forces are on the edge of town. Evacuate immediately. Leave your belongings. Evacuate the town immediately.
Move! Let's go, comrades!
Comrade Lieutenant Isakovich, while our men continue to load the train, your unit will be tasked with evacuating and destroying any remaining military assets. First, hold the enemy at the front line while our supply trucks are evacuated. Once they depart, lure the fascists into town where our engineers have planted explosives. Destroy anything that might be of use to the Germans, and then fall back to the rail yard, where you must protect the train until it departs. When the train leaves, evacuate to the rally point across the bridge. Are you prepared to execute your orders, Lieutenant Isakovich? For the Rodina, the motherland! German forces are approaching. Reinforce the front line. Take those conscripts and use them to replenish our shock troops by the front line.
the line and prevent the Germans from advancing.
Those shock troops have invaluable equipment and training. Keep them safe.
We won't last long! We need reinforcements!
You must hold the line. Call in more conscript squads if you have to.
Sukitzin! Stukas! Take cover!
Here we go. Waiting for
More of them! They're trying to flank us!
We can't hold this position any longer! Fall back to the tracks! Set up defensive positions and defend those supplies at all costs. Well done, Comrade Lieutenant. The supply trucks are moving out. There are critical military assets that could not be evacuated in time. Order our engineers to wire them with explosives and destroy them before the Germans push us back.
Sir, we can use some of this equipment to hold off the Germans, or even aid the evacuation.
We cannot risk having those assets fall into German hands. Destroy them at once.
done, comrade. We have denied the Germans access to any of our supplies.
Sir, they are bringing in vehicles.
We have a special surprise for the German bastards.
But sir, our troops!
We are out of time! Detonate the explosives! More of our troops have been... That will hold them off for now, but they won't give up that easily.
Get to work, men.
This town may fall to the Fascisti, but all they will find is smoldering ruins. Fall back towards the train yard and requisition flamethrowers for your engineers. We will burn this town to the ground. Our headquarters is still operational. Use it to request additional conscripts and engineers. The enemy is encroaching on our territory.
Get out of here! Ready. Engineer standing by. What do you want, comrade?
We are losing supplies to the enemy.
Pick that up. It'll be useful.
Order your men to set the houses on fire. Once that is done, have them torch the surrounding fields. Leave nothing for the Germans. Territory. We have more conscripts at our disposal.
Hurry, comrade! We cannot waste any time! Build it or close. Burn them out! This is madness! This is our town! Our lands!
Fresh conscripts have arrived.
comrade! We cannot waste any time!
The Germans are advancing through the fields. Comrade Lieutenant, torch the fields before they push through.
We've doused the fields with gasoline. Be careful, comrade.
Oh, you stupid bastard! Enemy contact! Petrol bomb! Now! Get the Molotov over there! And now! Attack! To the rear! Hurry, comrade! We cannot waste any time! We cannot stay here! Run for it! If you do not want to die here, move! Light them up! We're falling back, comrade. We are ready to hit them. Comrade! Hurry, comrade! We cannot waste any time!
Our territory is falling into enemy hands. Brave infantry have made the ultimate sacrifice.
Get the Molotov over there! We are taking fire! Here goes! Hurry up! Light the bottle! Burn! Squad standing by! Enemy down! Hurry, comrade! We cannot waste any time! Enemy fire! Capture complete. Contact with the enemy! Go, go, go! Left to the enemies on the people! Get in there! Hoorah!
Combat engineers are standing by.
Let's get KPD. We are on combat patrol. Need some flamethrowers have been requisitioned.
The enemy is attacking!
Stand fast! We are going into the thick of it! We will get there.
Spread out!
We have flamethrowers!
Supply sec.
Our forces are still in the fields!
We cannot let the Germans advance. Torch the fields now.
Oh God! Hurry, comrade! We cannot waste any time!
Good job, comrade. Fritz will regret ever stepping foot on Soviet territory.
No fucking end to this! What do you want?
You have done well holding off the Fascisti, but we still need more time. The Germans will try and push through the town using armored vehicles. Place mines and demolition charges along the roads to stop their advance.
Sir, mines won't be enough if their vehicles push through. We can use those T-34s too.
Negative. Those assets are acquired elsewhere. Make do with what you have.
Engineers. Surprise the enemy! Plant some mines! Engineers, plant some anti-tank mines! Building complete. We need that building yesterday. We will build it. Lay a trap, engineers! Lay some mines! Engineers, find the road! Let's pump some tanks! We've done it. Ready!
Get the Molotov over there!
Quickly, comrade! Place some mines on the roads!
Getting tired of this shit! Nostrovia! Where that came from! We are finished here. Engineers work. We start! What do you want? Over there! Move! Yes, comrade! You need engineers? Engineers moving. Shock troops here.
Ready your weapons, comrades, and remember, the train yard must be protected at all costs.
To another squad! Ready!
Move it!
Oh shit! Ibat, Kapat! Scout car inbound!
Place more mines on the roads! More German vehicles are sure to come!
Engineers, plant some anti-tank mines! Building complete. What do you want? Shock through! Grenade, now! You asshole!
The enemy is taking what we have secured.
Shot! We've done it. What do you want?
German scout car! West Road!
Hello, my brother. Enemy troops destroyed. Combat engineers. We need that building yesterday. Yet to work, men. Time to work, comrades. Shooting at us!
Enemy forces are attempting to capture our territory.
Never defeat the Rus! We are finished here. Incoming half-track! Main road!
Time to leave!
Enemy forces are capturing our supplies.
What do you want?
Another scout car coming in!
Fall back.
Enemy forces are neutralizing a sector. We need to re-establish our supply lines.
Enemy troops destroyed. What do you take it? We have captured Oslo.
We die for the revolution!
Move! Target liquidated. Capture. What do you want? Ready. We're going. Engineers. We've told us to What do you want? Have a grenade! Putting clear! Grenade out! Move to capture!
almost done! We're moving out the last of the tanks!
The sector is at risk. Enemy forces capturing supply sector.
Under fire!
What do you want? We're going!
The enemy has taken our supply sector.
Start walking, comrades. Let's go, comrades. What is it? Taking full on fire! Ready! I can't take it! Okay! Use the grenade! Shit! It's down!
But I can still shoot! Give me a damn gun!
Sir, they have tanks! We won't be able to stop them!
There is nothing more you can do. Fall back to the bridge.
Drive the enemy! Flank the line!
We can't hold them up any longer! Fall back to the bridge!
Supply sector under attack.
We're under attack by enemy armor!
We have an isolated...
Enemy armor! Run, comrades! Run!
I can still see their faces as they stood there, stunned.
We sacrificed a few to save a city. You showed great courage that day, comrade.
Abandoning my men showed great courage?
Yes! We were victorious. We faced an enemy that seemed unstoppable. We did what was necessary to keep the Germans from taking Moscow. You had proved you were ready for the difficult challenge we faced at Mzinsk.
What was asked of our men at Mtsensk approached the impossible.
German infantry approaches the ridge in great numbers. Although our weapon support is limited, we must hold these 3 positions. More Maxim HMGs will arrive soon. But for now, you must rely on conscripts and good cover. When an opportunity presents itself, we will push forward and secure the roads into Mtsensk.
German contact on the northern pass!
Maxim gunner down. Recruit that MG.
Is under attack!
MG at once! Under fire! Pour the holes in your boots. Go! Man down!
Enemy flamethrower! Fire!
They come again! What do you have for us? Enemy down! Comrade!
Take that German flamethrower!
Enemy forces are capturing our supplies. You may now dispatch Frontoviki conscript squads. These soldiers have access to Molotov cocktails and submachine guns.
Panzer Grenadiers to the north! Suppress them before they can grenade our trenches!
Waiting order! Machine guns are on their way! Shoot back, comrades! Yes, comrade!
Quick! Suppress the Panzer Grenadiers with the HMG!
Enemy is on the offensive.
Crush them!
They will learn. Do you need something?
We are deploying additional Maxim squads to the ridge, Commander.
The enemy has killed another infantry squad.
Maxim HMGs on site. German tanks! Get down!
Frontoviki squads have arrived to fight.
We cannot hold the ridge against these numbers. Commander, pull back your forces and begin to shore up defenses in the village.
We have Frontoviki squads at our disposal. The enemy has taken up.
Commander, engineers are ready to set up defenses in the village. In addition, Guards rifle infantry are now available from the Campania. Need something built?
Guards here.
Yes, comrade. You need something demolished?
Engineer, spot some anti-tank mines on the approach. We need that building yesterday.
We will have it up. We will build it. You need something built? It is not easy.
Guards troops ready for action.
You need something demolished? Let's go find a fight, comrades. We need anti-tank mines over here. Surprise the enemy! Plant some mines! Awaiting command. It's done. MG is relocating.
Inside! Cover the windows!
Structure complete.
What do you need?
We built it as ordered.
Guard squad ready.
Machine gun ready.
Guard, DPs have been requisitioned.
It's done. Moving.
We are moving.
Roll back, please. We've been ordered to the rear. To the rear! Machine gun ready.
Extra firepower.
That looks like a good spot for the MG. You need something built? You need something demolished? Flamethrowers have been requisitioned. We need more firepower. Requisition light machine guns for our Guards rifle infantry.
MG squad awaiting orders.
I love playing with fire. Huh? Machine gun is displacing.
We are awaiting orders. We need volunteers on that AT gun.
Do you need something?
Guard squad ready.
Heavy machine gun team prepared for combat.
Get ready to move.
HMG crew is ready.
Guards here. We need volunteers on the...
MG squad awaiting orders.
AT gun here. Comrade, the Germans will be upon us soon. Ready. What do you need? MG is relocated. What do you need? Field guns. We are awaiting orders.
We are losing supplies to the enemy.
Contact!
A probe attack, testing our defenses.
HMG is ready. That looks like a good spot for the MG. Turn that building into a machine gun nest. Yes, comrade.
They are coming down the central route. A squad of infantry has been killed. Death before retreat.
Engineers ready.
Enemy infantry has our range. 80 gun. We are moving, comrades.
Germans, south access road. Enemy tanks are coming in. We have 80 guns in the village. Get them to the front lines.
We have more conscripts at our disposal.
Focus your anti-tank guns on enemy armor. Use high explosive rounds against infantry targets.
Fresh conscripts have arrived.
We fucked up that squad. Field gun standing by. We have armor contact. Engineer standing by. Move. From the side. We are ready. Contact with the enemy. Yes, comrade. Enemy tank firing on us. Ready and willing.
is under attack!
Guards here.
Steel yourselves, comrades! Enemy forces are rallying to overwhelm the village. Troops have been lost.
Where do you need us?
Conscripts at our disposal. squads have arrived to fight. Frontoviki conscripts ready for deployment. Have made the ultimate sacrifice.
Another barrage! They have zeroed us in!
Frontoviki squads have arrived to fight. Frontoviki squads at our disposal.
Another wave! All forces fall back and defend the headquarters.
Been killed. Death before retreat.
There is no end to them! We cannot hold!
Machine guns has been silenced. Enemy force. The enemy is attacking our HQ. A sector has been cut.
Now it is time for revenge. Fuck them up, comrades.
The machine gun crew.
Finish these dogs! Hurrah!
German howitzers are still pounding the village. Get our T-34 to the ridge and smash those fucking guns!
Yes, comrade. Soldiers ready.
T-34 ready for action.
Panzers are no match for T-34s. Flank them and reclaim the ridge. Gather your forces. Lead the way with armor and crush the enemy. What are you waiting for, Commander? Finish them!